Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest cryptocurrency channel in all the interwebs. My name is TJ, and I'll be your host for today's episode of Around the Blockchain. Every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we come to you live to discuss the trending topics of the day, as well as discuss your most asked questions with experts from around the blockchain. We've got a really good show lined up for you guys today. We've got expert trader Keith Waring, ex-hedge fund manager from a couple of cents, Justin O, as well as altcoin and deep pick expert Decentralized Chain. And also another fun thing today, we've got the two on the right are actually from across the pond, and the two on the left are right here in the United States. So we've kind of got a little a battle of the nations, so to speak. So what we do for this show is, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's each guest score. So if you like any of the points that they're making as they're answering any of these questions, drop a +1 in the chat, and I'll know to give them an extra point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the show, we'll wrap it up and have 30 seconds to give a parting thought to the audience. We've got some really good topics to discuss today. We've got a new project, Internet Computer Protocol, that came right out of the box with a massive market cap, debuting at number 5, and then quickly took a 50% drop as soon as it was listed on Coinbase. We're going to get into that a little bit. We've got XRP starting to feel and see a resurgence, being relisted on different exchanges, and the U.S. government coming out saying that they won't hold that against exchanges if they relist them. Finally, the number one most asked question we get over and over and over. You guys want to know, what are the thoughts? Shiba coin, is it the next Dogecoin? What do we think about meme coins? We've got a split audience. Some people say it's bad for crypto. Some people say it's what crypto's all about. It's fun. It's making money. It's challenging the status quo. So we're going to get into all that. And if we've got some time, we'll talk a little bit as well about the Bitcoin dump we experienced yesterday. All that being said, let's jump right into it, get straight into the questions. We will start with Ben, and let me know your thoughts on Internet Computer Protocol. What do you know about it? What don't you know about it? What are your thoughts when you see something come right out of the box, right up at the top of CoinMarketCap?
Yeah, right now, if you guys see, I'm staring down at my phone right now because I'm currently buying like about 2 Bitcoins worth of ICP. I wish I would have done it earlier today, but when we were streaming, yeah, I'm just doing it. Now, look, that is not... that's not a promotion of ICP. You guys know, if you watched the show earlier today, I want exposure to top coins. And I think it started out at $600. It dropped down to $300. It's been continuing on the way up now. I meant to do it right after the stream, and I forgot. Luckily, I was reminded because of this topic. I just want exposure. And, you know, that's a small part of our portfolio, so we're not getting overextended into something. But we've seen this thing drop, you know, from number 4 down to number 8. We don't know where it's going to settle at, but it's got a lot of momentum behind it. Now, what I will say is this about ICP is that we're looking into it. We started doing some research today into ICP, into Dominic Williams, into a lot of what they're trying to do. And we're seeing that now this may sound counterintuitive to what I just said I did, right? I just throw money away sometimes. But there are some red flags. There are a few red flags with this. So I'm certainly not saying like just, you know, throw caution into the wind for everybody. But for me, it's on Coinbase. And usually if it's on Coinbase, that is a big enough vote of confidence for me to go ahead and put money into something. But as far as these projects that we've seen that just, you know, pop up on the scene out of nowhere, and then they're top projects, for the most part, anything we've seen do that tends to stay in the top 20 or so. I mean, we saw it with Clayton. We saw it with Polkadot. We saw it with Filecoin. You know, I think Clayton and Filecoin both fell out of the top 20, but, you know, Filecoin bounced all the way up to the top 10 again at some point. So this is just one to watch, one to keep on your radar. I think that I own every coin in the top 10. Well, yeah, I own every coin in the top. God, this is embarrassing. We bought some Shiba today. The first coin I don't own is Wrap Bitcoin at number 22 and Tron at 23. So I own about every coin in the top 20. So for me, it was just an easy thing to go ahead and just add this portfolio, but doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I think it's going to do super great in its utility yet. So we'll just have to see what happens there.
So almost pure speculation, just based on stuff you've done in the past that's worked. If it goes on Coinbase,
exactly.
Everything's going up right now. Interesting.
Yep.
So Keith, from a trading perspective, what are your thoughts on something like this? Does it scare you at all when you see something list that high and then have a quick drop, or what's your approach?
Yeah, well, I mean, name when people were saying ICP, I was just laughing like a next one. But what concerns me about ICP is the fact that if you actually look into the history of their funding, they got most of their funding from Andreessen Horowitz in 2018, I think it was. Or no, I think it was a secondary funding round with someone like Polygon or something like that further down the line. So there's not really, or Polychain Capital, that was it. There's not many people holding it. So to kind of create an air and a lot of attention, it's pretty easy to fake a market cap. Just a couple of weeks ago, I proved that I had an $11 trillion market cap on a token called the Charitable Unruggable some networking token. It had an $11 trillion market cap, and I did that. The video that I made it, that happened like within an hour. So you see these big guys. I love the idea, but I'd like to do this. But what they're trying to do, I mean, needed. We've had a lot of companies promise this sort of stuff in the past, like Substratum were promising a decentralized internet. Skycoin were doing it. None of them delivered. And then what Dominic Williams is proposing is essentially for software on the internet, hardware. It's like, look, everything will work with this. No one has a monopoly. Everything will work just like USB. But whole kind of decentralized thing, when you've got a massive VC behind it, kind of says one thing on one hand and another thing on the other. So, it's XRP. But
yeah. No, that's a great point. That it does seem like they're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth. On one hand, of like decentralize the internet, but at the same time, we're going to take a centralized approach to it. Does seem a little bit counterintuitive. And like you're saying, some of the promises they're making are pretty robust promises. So, decentralized chain. Have you looked into Internet Computer Protocol at all?
I have, and I think my view is slightly different when I look at just the general market. And with ICP, ultimately it is proving to be another layer one blockchain, and we've got plenty of those within this space as it stands. And I think, like Keith said before, it's had a fair few backers behind it. It's got a fair bit of history, and I think the other piece around it is it's come out of nowhere. And we're in a bull market. We've taken on more individuals in terms of those who are interested in crypto that might not have been around in 2017, right? And so people know where Definity's from. They know that the raise was done back then. Everyone's been holding on for like 2 years, and all of a sudden here we are. But I think also that the big, huge price appreciation that we've seen from it is partly due to the IOUs that have been trading as well, right? I suspect that must be also playing a part into the psychology and emotions of thinking, right, well, it's going to be big. It's already trading high on the perps. So once it actually launches in, it's already gone into like a number 4, drop down to number 8. But saying that, I still think that there's a fair bit of run left in this.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a great take. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I would like to reiterate what Keith and Decentralized Chain was saying. It's another layer one. I have trouble understanding why there's space for this to win in a winner takes most market and just general internet dynamic against even, I know they've said you can build the front end on the internet computer, and maybe that implies building the back end on Ethereum's blockchain. But again, it's like, it does seem redundant. I think it popped because everybody knows how reputable Andreessen Horowitz is and Polychain Capital, along with some of the other ones. They've raised 121 million. They have a very focused team on basically building the new internet protocol, and we've heard a lot of this before, like Keith and Decentralized have said. I find it, when you get past kind of the just pure currency coins, it's liquid venture capital. And so when you're talking about buying liquid venture capital, I guess, equity sort of in the future of a protocol, and you're trying to predict usage of it, right? So I've been watching some of the videos from I believe their founder, and he's talking about how anybody can really connect to these nodes. They're making a lot of promises, right? It's everything that Ethereum is going to be, but infinitely scalable. So like, how are you going to do that? I didn't really understand that. I didn't have time to read the full white paper. But so lofty claims on both performance, security, and just being the next iteration of smart contracts. And I don't really know how that justifies a $46 billion billion dollar valuation. You really have to believe in developers building on it. I mean, that's from a fundamental standpoint. Again, can't really talk about the price action, but from a fundamental standpoint, like, do you believe it's the future or a meaningful future of the layer one? And if you do, it's probably worth much more than $46 billion in market cap. But again, to Keith's point, the market cap is almost doesn't mean as much as you think right now, because you can the supply is X and folks are just buying and selling on the first day. So we're really in this short-term market type of area right now. But coming from a fundamental standpoint, this is one of many, and I don't particularly feel the need to buy it now, but maybe once they start getting traction, start getting really big applications being built on it, I think then that's when I start getting excited about it. So call me more of a growth investor as opposed to an angel stage investor.
No, that's great. That makes sense. Basically, you want to see them do something like they're saying before you give them money, which is great point. And real quick, we have Mr. Rios in the sent us a super chat asking for everybody to smash the like button, which we really appreciate. So if you guys like this format, if you want to see more of these types of shows, smash the like. We got 10,000 people watching right now. It should be very easy to get to a couple of thousand likes. So we'd really appreciate that. And Justin, you actually kind of brought me to the next question, which is about the team behind a project. So I'll go ahead and let you lead off with this one too. How much does the team behind the project, I mean, we've already mentioned Andreessen Horowitz, and I think Polygon Capital was the other one that raised, and already have references of the team behind ICP. How much does that factor into your decision-making when you're evaluating a project?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, like, you can even talk to any of the Silicon Valley famous investors, Founders Fund, Peter Thiel, Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, right? When you're on the earlier stages of anything in investing, that's a business, protocols, etc. It's all about the team, right? Mm-hmm. On the other end, when you're buying a company like, I don't know, GE or AT&T, those things are basically gigantic cruise ships, and it really doesn't matter who's driving because it's a big ship that's already built. But these things are like very, very early stage, and they're gonna run into problems, right? They're going to run into technical problems. They're going to run into competitive problems. They're going to run into just internal ops problems. So how do you know if something's going to succeed or not? It's really a bet more on the team, or the earlier stage something is, pre-product especially, because you don't actually know what the problems are going to be. You just know the person that's going to be solving those problems. So in this scenario, I hope most people on this in this live stream have watched like Silicon Valley, right? You're really betting on the Pied Piper team at this point, and not really the product, because there's no product yet.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's so funny. We're getting a lot of Silicon Valley references. Somebody else in a conversation here in the office was referring to saying they get Gavin Belson vibes from this ICP project. So it's really funny, all the different, Pied Piper versus, the big money investor types. It's real interesting. So, Ben, how much do you evaluate the team behind a project before, how much does that factor into your decision making?
Well, it depends on if you're talking about my decision making to support a project and believe in what they're doing long term, or my decision to throw money into something random, which is what I just did. So I understand everything that Keith is saying about the market cap, and that these other guys are saying about it could possibly be overvalued. But when you've got a coin that is in the top 10 right now that could stick around in the top 20, this is a speculative driven market. And I kind of take the opposite approach from Justin. Justin is definitely more fundamentals driven, and we're fundamentals driven about what we support, right? What projects we'll do videos on, not just an introduction kind of video to a project like what is ICP. We're going to do that, talk about some of the red flags, talk about some of the good things about it and the potential of what it could be one day. But when it comes to speculation, it's going to pump in this bull run. Like, that's just how it is, unless it gets like totally doxxed as being a scam or something like that. So, and if it is, like, there's a small percentage of our portfolio, but the team's obviously very important for can they actually achieve what they say they're going to achieve. You want to look at their experience, you want to look at their connections, but overall, to me, and I've actually said this for the last 4 years, this bull run and the last bull run, almost 100% speculative. I believe the next bull run in 2024 is going to actually be fundamentals driven and is going to be driven by use case and the actual number of users of a project. So for me, I think down the line, that stuff is going to matter long term. But when I cash out at the top of this bull market, it really doesn't, amount to a hill of beans.
Yeah, great points. All right, back across the pond, Keith. From a trader's perspective, how much does the technicals and how much does the fundamentals really matter? Or are you purely looking at the technicals?
What regarding ICP? I mean, look, this is definitely a project if it's real. If I first actually heard about Definity not too long ago. Okay, so I'm really not clued in. With Charles Hoskinson talking about how he feels about Dominic Williams trying to poach his staff from Cardano, and what worries me about watching out, it's just like, well, neither of you have a product. No one's building on you yet that anyone's aware of, and that's kind of a little bit of a red flag. But then there's also some really, really good things with ICP that really kind of struck me when I was looking into them today. There's a video how Zynga Poker that you can play on Facebook, like that absolutely exploded. They went to IPO, they got a $10 billion valuation, and then he said that Facebook changed the API Zynga, and their market cap dropped by 85%. So that's 8.5 billion gone, right? And then he starts talking about the problem with that is that these companies like AWS and Facebook, who have all the cloud right now, they've got a monopoly, they're squeezing out any competition. Anyone that's taking limelight and the revenue, they're like, well, okay, we'll give you a little bit of a limelight so everyone comes to our platform, and then we're going to crush you, and then we're going to do our own thing. And I think, what he's trying to say and what the Affinity and ICP are trying to it are saying, well, look, we'll make it so that everything is completely fair. There is no monopoly. There's no ownership. It's things that we've been told with other projects in 2017, where pretty much everything was a scam. So you've got to feel a little bit like I don't know, a little bit jaded from like 2017 horrors. But I do also think that after the explosion in 2017, probably about there's a lot to this tokenization, and if they can latch on to that, I mean, I don't think you even need to buy ICP. Surely, I think one of the features of it is that if you're helping facilitate you can mine the tokens as well in that way, and then you can use the tokens in the same way to pay for services that you're going to use. So it seems like it's not that sort of thing that you would really need to. Could be a very, very useful thing. So from a trading point of view, I see great use for it. Whether that use will give me over of the speculative coins like Link, Dash, Bitcoin, etc. I don't know, man. I think it's a huge challenge to pull it off, and I like all kind of these thing versus we just got our VC money from one place. It also kind of goes in the, like I said, in the direction. So from a trading point of view, wait for it to drop down like Filecoin did after the hype dies down, and then maybe bag it up when it's in the top 30, I guess.
There you go. And I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or wired in, but if you could be wired in, that would help. We are getting a little bit of lag on your end, so I don't know if that's just the
I'm on
bandwidth
satellite.
from
Yes.
satellite. That'll do it. So
I'll switch routers.
Okay.
1 second. I might
Okay.
disappear.
Yeah, and I think Justin just lost some power, so hopefully he comes back. But I'm gonna move on to a new topic and kick it off with you, Decentralized Chain. We've got XRP starting to get relisted, starting to have a little bit of resurgence. Yep. We've got regulation coming out now saying, at least in the United States, they're not gonna penalize exchanges for listing them. We're already seeing it getting relisted on a few different exchanges. So, from your perspective, how much, if it gets relisted on Coinbase, how much will that impact the price, and where do you see the price moving after if they get relisted on Coinbase?
Yeah, I mean, look, as in, if we kind of take the whole Femex issue when they got delisted back in December, and now they've obviously been relisted back on, I think that's a big step forward in general confidence overall in the market, right? Because that's what everybody's looking for. I think we've got staples. You've got your Bitcoin, you've got your Ethereum, you've got your XRP. It's here to stay. Like, as much as some people say, oh, it's too centralized, it's not really crypto. It is, regardless of which way you look at it. Is more or less the bread and butter of what we're doing in this space as well. And there are going to be people investing in that. And this is what everybody's looking for. Like, definitely in the circles that I'm in, everyone's sort of looking at, right, well, we're waiting for XRP. We still think XRP is going to be going up. The SEC piece is all going to be settled. It's all going to be done. It's going to be a slap on the wrist by the end of it. And that's it. And I think with Femex relisting, and the moment we end up getting Coinbase bringing it back on market again, because then you kind of open it up to the US, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is kind of the other side of the fence, right? In the UK, it's fine for me. I can go on Binance, I can go on various places and get it. It doesn't bother me. But for the US guys, and I think that's a much larger slice of the market and more of a sentiment-driven market, that once that starts happening, you're going to start seeing those all-time highs ultimately getting beaten and going beyond. So for me, once we get, this is just the first step, and I think Femex is really a bullish sign, in my opinion, for XRP. Don't get me wrong, I'm not someone who loves XRP, and I don't really hate it either, but I think it's a necessity within this space as well to satisfy those.
Yeah, great points. And Justin, welcome back. I'm not sure if you heard the question. Basically, we're talking about XRP starting to get a little bit of a resurgence, starting to hear in the US that it's able to be listed on exchanges. What are your thoughts if XRP was to be relisted on Coinbase? What do you think that would do for the price, or how much impact would that have?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was very surprised that that Femex, I believe, I think that's how they pronounce it, relisted it. When the SEC may come down with the hammer of God, so to speak, of really classifying this as a security and saying that they did a bunch of stuff, right? This is all a very big distraction of what we were talking about. Very early on, last super cycle, when that BitBoy was referring to in the past, I had invested in XRP based on a focused Silicon Valley style team trying to solve one big problem: interbank transfers, right? And as time went on, I had the opportunity to flip that XRP investment into actually, pre-IPO equity types of things in there. I've kind of mentally written that off because, it's not really good for a team to be distracted with the SEC stuff. Mm-hmm. And, what is their security when they should be solving interbank transfers? And think about the actual. Oh, sorry. You can probably still hear me. We
can't hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, my camera's dead. But so I think like as they get more listed, right, it should do really well because the funds will flow from Bitcoin and downwards towards the kind of smaller coins. And so that's what in the market we call kind of beta, right? That's just market movement. Mm-hmm. But in terms of as the individual project, I think they're still in a lot of, they have a lot of headwinds, and I'm just really nervous about it. So the more exchanges that do list them, I mean, it can kind of go either way. I actually think that potentially the more exchanges that list them, you have a bunch of bag holders that just want to get out too. So, I think that's a risk as well.
That's an interesting point. So real quickly, just briefly, how do you think the lawsuit's going to end up? Do you think they'll win, settle, SEC wins, or Ripple Labs wins?
It's still me. Yeah. I mean, I really don't know. It's really hard to tell. We don't have that much information about it. We know that they're claiming they never did an ICO, but they really did raise a bunch of money essentially before they released a product.
Sure.
So, I would just say, I think they have to settle at least.
Yeah, I would agree. Ben, real quick, but two-part question: where do you think the lawsuit will end up, and what do you think will happen to the price if they get listed on Coinbase?
Yeah, well, I did want to point out before we get to that, though, like Justin was talking about, it seems like to be a risk to relist it, but the SEC actually came out and said that they're not going to punish exchanges for trading XRP at this point. It only is going to be Ripple in the crosshairs. So I think what they're saying by that is maybe they're already kind of positioning themselves for the end of this lawsuit, because it's either going to end in a settlement where Ripple Labs is going to come out ahead in this, and they're going to get a fine, and that's going to be it. Then the tokens or the coin's going to be able to remain tradable on exchanges, or either they already know they're going to lose. And I think this is heading for a full Ripple Labs win. That's what it looks like to me. It's starting to gain a lot of momentum. I read, there's been a lot of articles about how the SEC is actually on trial. So I think this is going to come out favorably for Ripple, which once again, as I say all the time, I never imagined those words would come out of my mouth. I definitely thought this was heading towards a, maybe even a death penalty for Ripple Labs. They'd be so audacious to go right at the SEC, but they got the right judge and things look like it's favorable. So if this does happen, if it ends up in their favor and Coinbase, even ahead of that, there's no reason at this point for Coinbase not to relist it. If the SEC's already said they're not going to be in trouble, there's no reason for them not to relist it at this point. So if they relist it, we're going to get a price explosion. I suspect it would go straight to all-time highs, straight to $3.60 from here. Not that big of a leap. It would just take about 100% move in a few days, which we've seen from coins left and right. It's like XRP price has been suppressed due to this. It's looking for a valve release, and that could be what happens there. So I'm watching it. I'm looking for XRP to be, somewhere between $15 and $20 by the end of this bull run, if not a little bit higher. It's only a 5x of the previous all-time high. Bitcoin in the last cycle 18x its previous all-time high, so we know it's totally in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, no, all great points. Decentralized chain, what do you think real quick?
Look, I think really similar to what Ben said earlier, and I think the direction we're heading in, I personally feel it would be a settlement more than anything else. But also, this, I would say, opens up the floodgate from an SEC perspective, because if they settle here and you have other coins, tokens, whichever way you want to look at it, also being deemed as securities, I think this will kind of be a bit of a relief for them as well, in terms of knowing that we're not going to get heavily penalized. Yeah, we'll get away with a slap on the wrist, maybe a fine for settlement, but we can afford that. We can absorb that in terms of what we already own.
Yeah, no, that's a huge point. The precedent that will come out of this case may end up being cited in lawsuits for years to come. So that is pretty huge. All right, moving on real quick to another topic. It's what they're blasting me with in the chat, Shiba Coin. We've seen meme coins pump, I think 1,000% this week, or even a lot more than that, making its way all the way up to the top 20. I think it's sitting at about 17 on CoinMarketCap right now. I know SafeMoon pumped all the way up there. So we're seeing different meme coins get a lot of attention. And again, we talked about market caps a little bit, how that can be manipulated and kind of obfuscated a few different ways to make it look like it's bigger than it is. But I want to know from you guys, do you think these things are good for crypto? It brings new people in, it gets people excited, it's fun, or it's bad because, a lot of people are calling this BitConnect 2.0. It could crash. It could give crypto a bad name, kind of leave people with a bad taste in their mouth of saying, oh, cryptocurrency is a joke. What do you guys think? Are meme coins good or bad for crypto? And we'll go ahead and start with you, Decentralized Chain.
So my personal view is I think it's bad for crypto, just in general, purely because, and what I think you need to understand is when we look at the new money coming into crypto, and I'm going to say it's the younger money that's coming in. A lot of the individuals I see, they don't even look at the basics in terms of market cap. And market cap is really important to me when I look at any type of coin, to realize exactly how far it's going to go. Because when they see something less than a cent, and you've got individuals on TikTok saying buy now, it's going to make 1 cent. If you really look at it, if it actually genuinely made 1 cent, it would be bigger than Bitcoin. And no one seems to realize that, right? until it drops. And I think that's really key. But if you're in early, great, enjoy the ride and jump off. I personally find it's more fun, but I don't really think it's great for crypto because it's taking the shine off, I would say, a lot of projects that have worked very hard, extremely hard to get to where they are in terms of the rankings where they are in the top 100. And then you have these types of coins that come along, which, I mean, yeah, it's a meme, it's for fun, but really it's just dumb money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Try us. So it's, we got a super chat there for you, just saying love your thoughts. So keep bringing the fire. Justin, the black box in the corner there. If you're still with us, what do you think?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would just want to back decentralized chain up. I think it's bad, and it's bad because I would like to see as many folks take advantage of a once in a generation type of technological breakthrough, which will create a lot of wealth for a lot of people. But unfortunately, I think people get sucked in because just like stocks, right? People like penny stocks because it's perceived to be cheaper, but it's actually all about market cap. And then they get sucked in and it pumps and then they feel good and then it dumps and then they feel really bad, just like we saw with GameStop we'll see what happens with Dogecoin. Yep. And you get a bunch of bag holders and they sell out and they never come back. So what you have are a very concentrated few that really take advantage of the full amount of the gains over the multi-year period, which is why I believe in fundamentals. Yeah. And I don't think that look, I say something about companies that is the same thing with protocols. The only reason why you should exist is to solve a real world problem for real world customers. If you're not doing that, you're either overly optimistic or you're a scam. Yeah. And so if you're not solving real problems, get out of here.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. Keith, let's hear from you. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Justin and decentralized chain. Yeah, I mean, it's not good for crypto at all. Your point as well about it being Bitcoin 2.0, absolutely. There was lots of people in 2017 who kind of sat watching people like Trevor James making a lot of money in BitConnect, see him making $1 million, and then they all go, oh, you know what, I'm going to put way more into this, and then it just shrinks their backs into nothing, and then they don't, and like Justin said, they leave the space and they don't come back. It's completely and utterly pointless. It's good maybe for a punt, just for a laugh. I don't even think giving it airtime is really valid though. Come on, I mean, it's number 10 right now. I can't believe that. What's up with it as well? I mean, did you see the tweet about the guy someone found on Etherscan? They put 37 ETH and they turned it into $2 billion when there was only 700K liquidity or 7 million liquidity. And then all of a sudden it gets listed on Binance, and it's like, well, hold on a minute, who's behind this? Because this just seems like a very well orchestrated cash grab to me.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of shady stuff going on there, and kind of like Justin said, I think what tends to happen with a lot of these projects is you find out there's a very small group of people that end up making most of the money. Now, I mean, obviously there's always, and it was another article we kind of talked about in the office here this morning, you always hear about the kid who turns $500 into $100,000, and that goes all over the media. He made it off this random Dogecoin or meme coin or Shiba or SafeMoon or whatever it is. But then you never hear about the guy who put in 10,000 and can't get it out because there's no liquidity, or the guy who put in a few thousand and got wrecked and lost it all at the end. So it is an interesting dichotomy of exposure and hype and fun compared to, like real world application, like what a lot of you guys have talked about. So Ben, what is your take on the meme coins?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think my take is much different than everybody else's today. I think we got 3 people that don't agree with me on anything today. Well, number one, I think it's a good gateway to get people into crypto to understand the difference between things that are good and bad. But what I would say is, like, let's remember the speculative market that we're in. Like, most people at the top of the market are going to lose 95% of their money. Like Bitcoin loses 85% of its value every 4 years. And so, when you look at something like BitConnect that obviously was people taking advantage of gathering other people's Bitcoin in order to say that they were trading it in a Ponzi scheme fashion, like, yeah, that's definitely a scam. And if you dice down like all cryptocurrencies, you know, every crypto in the history of mankind has been called a scam at some point. Now, does Shiba do anything? No, absolutely not. Is it any different than, you know, Dogecoin? No, not really. Is it any different than Litecoin? Honestly, not really. Different kind of supply and tokenomics. But other than that, like, they're all currencies. Nobody's using Shiba as a currency, though, obviously, at this point. And I do understand the argument of a few small, wallets own most of the crypto. But guess what? That's XRP. That argument can be made for Bitcoin. Argument can be made for a lot of coins in the top 20 that they have very concentrated amounts of holders. I mean, Vitalik Buterin has 333,000 ETH just in one wallet. So, you know, I think if we just apply kind of the same, you know, litmus test to Shiba that we're applying to other coins, you know, then we'll see that, you know, overall, while we might see a more compact run of people, you know, the price going up and people losing money, overall, it's not that much different than the rest of the crypto market. And it right now is at a price point where it's in the top 20, and you lose legitimacy, I think, when you when you don't reference it. Like, guys, there's a lot of money behind this. And what we're not really seeing is enough credibility given to this TikTok crowd that's putting money in all this stuff. Like, they are moving the market. Now, fundamentals, absolutely not. It's got no fundamentals that are great. Like, sure, 100%. But people are using it to make money, and there will be people that get hurt, but there are people that get hurt in the overall crypto market. So the meme coins, they bring fun into crypto, kind of like Decentralized Chain said. Like, it's fun, but is it positive? Is it really adding anything to the overall crypto sphere? And the answer to that, of course, is no. And I think you really just, in crypto, we really got to be careful sometimes, like dicing or walking that line between, what is speculation and what is use case. And like I said earlier, like right now, we're not to the place where the use case matters that much, unfortunately. So with Ethereum, it does matter because you've got a bunch of apps that are built on it that are, you know, Ethereum's traded on and staked on and things like that. So from that perspective, it does matter. But for most of the top coins, like Polkadot and Cardano, like, they're not even running yet. You know what I mean? So all of these Polkadot IDOs are launched on Ethereum, you know, so.
No, those are all great points. So fundamentals, pumpamentals, very good in a nutshell. Yeah.
I mean, I wish it wasn't that way, but that's the reality of the crypto world we're in right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is the reality that we're in. So that's all we have time for today. If you guys like this format, please give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know some of the people you'd like to see on the show in the future. Leave your most frequently asked questions so we can work them into these other roundtable discussions as we go. It looks like, Ben, you're the winner today. So, 7 times the charm. So if you want to take it away this time and leave the audience with some parting thoughts before we close out, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, sure. We've ran this show for 7 days, and I finally have a victory under my belt. A lot of fierce competitors and a lot of winners. But what I really want to say to the audience is, if you're watching the show, if you're a fan of this show, what we want to do is bring in perspectives from other people that have different opinions than you're getting on this channel, because that is extremely important for you guys to have a much more well-rounded view of cryptocurrency. And I just want to encourage all of you guys to go down to the description, click on each one of these guys' links, subscribe to their channels, and give them support. And that goes for every episode of this show. You guys make sure to show love to the people that come on. We don't pay them anything to come on the show. They're just coming. They're giving their time. They're giving their opinion. And that's what this show is all about. It's not about, me jumping on here and telling you what I think. It's about getting a well-rounded perspective. And what we're really trying to do is lift up the entire crypto space as a whole, show you there's a lot of great people in this space. And you guys are seeing that every day on this show.
Yeah, that's great. Let them feel that BitSquad love. We talk about all the time. The BitSquad's the #1 community in all of cryptocurrency. So go show our guests that. We appreciate you guys joining us today. As always, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you later.